agony of
Sean Windsor.
the human drama of athletic.
Mark Fellauer.
This is ABC's
Soul of Detroit.
You asked interrogative questions.
around my face.
It's gone.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Albert?
Hey kids, it is a perplexed ML Elric. When we discussed that intro, it was supposed to be Mark Fellauer, but it somehow turned out to be athletic Mark Fellauer.
I don't decide where the edit points are that make it sound smooth. I just, work with what I have. Are you saying I'm not athletic at all? That hurts.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you're
I'm very athletic.
freelancing.
I played my daughter in one-on-one up to 10, and I won 10-0.
Wait a second. He's freelancing? Does that mean he's going off the script?
No, it
that
means
you wrote?
It means that we had a plan.
Is that where we're at?
He's improvised.
The closer you get to the election, the more authoritarian you're going to become. Is that what's going on here?
More shows will take off.
No. I believe in empowering the people. But I can see Mark playing with this. This would be the fourth show on the Red Shovel Network, Charlotte and Dad podcast. Is that the star of that?
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like she's pod faded a little bit because she doesn't want to do a show anymore.
Okay, well,
I don't know. The 3-year-old wants to though.
She's like Dave Chappelle. She just walked away.
Pretty much.
She said that's it. Was this like the Great Santini where you're just bouncing the ball off her head and just berating her?
I had so many blocks. It's not even funny.
Yeah,
I have a height advantage.
Good reference, by the way.
When you're stuffing a 7-year-old, that really isn't funny.
Dude, I was the youngest of 3 brothers. You know how often I got abused playing sports? I know it's not Charlotte's fault, but...
That reminds me of when
My
the
turn to
Unabomber
dominate.
said that all the other guys in my family wrote really long stuff. So it's okay that I wrote this manifesto.
Oh, I like that.
I'm tough. Am I supposed to let her win? I'm trying to toughen her up.
He's a Wolverine, by the way, that Unabomber.
You know it.
By the way, Mark, what are you and I wearing? What's on our shirts?
We're supporting the show by wearing merch that's available at thedrillmikestore.com.
Ooh, way to push the product.
And how is that different from what Mike's wearing?
He is wearing a campaign shirt that says ML4Detroit.com.
So are we in the right building? What is this
are.
still a podcast?
It shows where his most, where his allegiance is the most important, which is the election. That's fair.
It is fair. It's a little hurtful, but it's fair.
I'm going to wear a Milk Dud shirt in support of Sean next week.
These shirts are available to all volunteers who help us with cleanups and other things that improve the community. In fact, we've been helping people get their basements cleaned out all week because of this flood that we're still dealing with. But there have been some amazing things that have emerged from this flood that some things I thought I had lost. In a future podcast, we will be having a very talented musician whose picture I took back in high school. It was a national award-winning picture, by the way. But anyways, I ran into him by chance at a funeral.
Of course it was.
And this one didn't come with a pay cut. And I ran into him at a funeral. I had not seen him in 36 years, and I ended up sitting next to him at a funeral, and we just started talking, and somehow it emerged that he had sold a book about his music career and that my picture was going to be on the cover. I said, what are the odds that we would run into each other at a funeral? He said, can you find the original picture? And I said, I'll see what I can do, but I've been really busy. And then in the flood, I was going through some files, and lo and behold, I found the picture and another really cool picture. And you know what else I found?
The copyright for it?
I possess that as the creator.
Oh.
But I found the astronaut pen. If Maz is listening, he'll know what I'm talking about.
From Seinfeld?
From Seinfeld. My wife got it for me when we lived in Chicago because we were big Seinfeld fans, and she went to all this trouble to find where she could get the astronaut pen, and she got it for me, and guess what? It still works.
It still works. Wow, that's also
even upside down.
It's also a pen for left-handed people.
Is it?
Yeah, because the way pens are made to flow.
It doesn't smear?
So you're not pushing it? No, it could still smear, but it's a long thing.
That would make a great story.
That's the thing you understand when you live in the right man's world as a lefty. Go ahead,
right.
Sean.
That would make a great story, actually. The photo, the way you found it, running into him. I mean, if you could write, that'd make a really good story.
If I could find somebody to pay me to write, I might write.
But
we're going to have him
wish
on the
I could
show.
write that story about you and him.
Oh yeah, I understand it's free press policy now that nothing newsworthy involving me can be published because of our long relationship. But yeah, so
yeah, I know now that you're on the other side, you don't want him to have any standards anymore that you used to love. But that's okay.
Yeah, well, we'll just move on. I have some thoughts on the editorial page and standards, but
okay,
we'll just move on from there. But yes, I have been decluttering my basement at the point of a tsunami, and we've been trying to help some neighbors get through some situations. It's amazing what people are going through right now, and really, it's tragic and it's horrible. And it's something that needs to be addressed.
And I feel like the rest of the area has already forgotten about it because, the weekend.
Yeah, well, people were
That's
grilling.
just how it works.
Yeah, and if it didn't affect somebody, then they can move on. But the problem is it affects all of us because we are all going to pay for this through our taxes going to payments made by FEMA, by insurance policies increasing their rates because people are making claims because insurance companies never go out of business. They just spread the pain over the rest of us and stretch it out forever. So it is a really, really, really heartbreaking thing. And I will tell you, as someone who was raised by a recovering Catholic, that I am not very well versed in faith. But this campaign, I mean, I do go to church almost every Sunday. And one of the great things about campaigns is you get out of the churches you go to and you go to a bunch of different churches. And particularly when you're running for office in Detroit, you go to a lot of evangelical and Baptist churches. And if you've never been to one of those services, I will tell you, you are missing one of the most amazing encounters of your life. And I was fortunate enough to be welcomed at Greater Burnett Baptist Church on Sunday, where Pastor Patrick Johnson was celebrating his 5th anniversary as a shepherd of that flock. And as the honoree, he was able to partake most of the services. Well, a knucklehead like me had a few minutes to speak to the congregation, and a real orator, guest pastor Jason Mosley, did most of the heavy lifting on the spiritual side of things. But before we get to that, I want to tell you about a little something that allows us to come back to you each week, and that's the good people at Roy O'Brien Ford. If you're looking for a new ride, if you're looking for service, if you're looking for repairs, or even just a top-notch oil change, Roy O'Brien has you covered. They've got the new full-size Bronco in there now. That's where my mom bought her red Focus wagon. It's bright red. It's still running after, probably about 120,000 miles. We're still borrowing it. And she is still a satisfied customer. Roy O'Brien has been taking care of customers for nearly 75 years from the corner of 9 Mile and Mac. You can find out more about them at royobrien.com, ROYOBRIEN.com. Check out Fast Track, which lets you choose your vehicle and options. You can pick out your deal. Do you want to lease it? Do you want to finance it? Or if you're lucky, you can pay cash. You'll also find out what your trade-in is worth. You can apply for financing and schedule delivery of that hot new ride. So if you want to know more, go to royobrien.com or call 888-566-5851. And please let them know that you found out about them from this podcast, because the only reason the podcast is still going is because Roy O'Brien Ford is helping us support us. So let's support those that support us.
And if you have a Ford, I mean, I know they're looking for cars.
Oh, yeah.
They're looking for used ones. So your value is never going to be higher. Call them.
So I, when you run for office, you have all kinds of experiences, things that you think you'll never do. Some of them are amazing. Some of them are confounding, and some of them are humbling, like my trip to Greater Burnett Baptist Church, which if you missed me there, I don't think I saw you there. It sounded a little bit like this.
Which one are we going?
I thought we'd go with the first one.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know that's how you said
number
it.
one.
This morning, we're so honored to have a candidate for city council for the 4th district. I speak of Mr. Eldridge.
Oh.
I'm going to ask him to come and bless our hearts at this time. Let the church say amen.
Amen. That's the elder. He's a very cool dude with some sweet glasses.
I can't believe you did this.
This is
How intimidated were you?
so very intimidating. This is
You're walking up to the pulpit right now.
this is a great yeah. If you're watching us on Facebook Live or watching the replay, you can see this. But how's everybody doing this morning? I'm very nervous. Very nervous.
I can tell. It's fun to see you nervous.
Well, I'm here to tell you that prayers can be answered because my prayer this morning was, please don't make me go on after the pastor.
Ooh, that
Please
killed. That's
don't
a good
make me
joke.
go on after the pastor because there's no way I'm going to be able to hold a candle to the pastor. So one prayer has been answered today, and I'm sure there are many others that have been answered, and so that's another reason to praise God.
Wow.
Yeah. So we started out okay. The pastor was Ryan Patrick Johnson, very nice gentleman, wonderful church, and I was the whole time we're getting ready to go. I thought, boy, don't let me go last. Because you do not want to follow a Detroit pastor. I mean, you want to talk about the full range of emotions, getting the spirit running through you, making you get up, making you move.
Well, I don't think you have
amen.
I don't know what the pastor is like, but I would bet you don't have his energy.
If I was on skates, I would. But in the house of the Lord, I tend to be a little more reticent. I'm a little more laid back.
Going into it, what did you know about the congregation? I mean, you kind of have to know your audience that you're speaking to.
Well, I know these are people of faith. I know these are committed Detroiters. I know these are people who care about the city. These are people who have allowed the city to survive by putting up with things that folks in most other places wouldn't put up with because we don't get the services we deserve for our taxes. We have our water shut off if we don't pay. But some of us who do pay have it come gushing through the basement. So that's kind of a little bit of a paradox that folks don't appreciate. And one of the reasons why Detroit is poised to make a comeback is because we have good people who have stuck it out for so long and who quite rightly often feel like, hey, why are all these new people getting all these shiny toys when we've been here putting up with all kinds of yang, and we are, when do we get our reward for being the backbone of Detroit? But going into one of these things, you kind of think, well, I want to be myself at all times, and I'm.
Yeah,
marginally funny, but
I don't think it'd be a good look if you tried to impersonate the pastor.
Oh no! Believe me, I would not. I'm not here to try and copy that style as compelling and dynamic as it is. But I couldn't resist trying to slip a little humor into it because that's probably the one thing.
Oh no! Well, that last
that
joke
I bring.
That joke in the intro hit pretty well.
This one didn't go so good. In and I said, how bad is it? And they said, it's a lot of water. And I said, how bad is it? He said, well, the 2 dogs and the 2 cats figure they're okay. There's a deer with a long horn that says, I'm not missing the boat this time. And I said, it can't be that bad. So not a lot of Noah's Ark fans out there.
Well, that guy liked it.
Yeah, that was Sean.
That can't be the only joke that fell flat, though.
Sean is not enjoying it at all.
No, let's get to the next clip.
Sean doesn't want to go to church.
Okay. And the church says, let's go to the next clip.
I like church.
That's
why I want to get back.
Like
that's why I want to get back to it. I like Mike better at church than I like him here in the studio. So let's get back to the church.
That was an excellent recovery, Sean. I'm with you.
I got an amen. I asked for an amen, and I got to move on. So let's move on.
But don't make. I guess you can't make jokes about serious business like that. You don't fuck around with Noah.
No, but I mean, a deer with a horn on his head, that's a unicorn,
sacrilegious.
Right? Sacrilegious. And the unicorn doesn't want to miss the boat this time. I've learned from my mistakes.
I think they got the joke.
You're saying it wasn't funny?
Maybe they were distracted by the mask around your neck.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. So that's the other thing. I probably should have taken the mask off. I was a little nervous.
That's okay though. It provided a little cover.
It's like when I walk in here and I realize I'm with these two titans of broadcasting. I'm like, oh my God, please.
So it's like a child when he puts his hands up over his eyes and he thinks he's invisible to everybody else. The mask offered a little psychological cover.
It's a comfort mask.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like the drool cup from Saturday Night Live when when Eric Idle was the guest. Remember that?
No, it's okay if Mark and I have it.
Now that's an incredibly dated reference.
Okay, deep cut.
Can I just say this? It's okay if Mark and I make a little comment. You don't then have to add your own simile or homily or
Sean? He always has to.
I mean, you could just
that's the way it works.
Let us once in a while say something, and then you can say, "Oh, that's nice," and then move forward.
This is a good time.
That's nice.
This is a good time to turn to Scripture.
That's nice.
Last Sunday, I was at a service, and we were examining Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. And I thought about that because I want more than I should.
Wow.
Oh, why'd you cut it off there? That was interesting.
Because as I tend to do, I digress.
Oh, so you didn't follow that. I want more than I should. I thought you were going to say something self-reflective there.
I did. I talked a little bit about some of the things I want.
You had them on their
why'd
side.
you cut that off? Thanks a lot, Mark.
Well,
I'm just going by the cue sheet.
I came back to that.
After all, you see how much trouble I get in with the intros and outros. I don't dare make a.
But he was going to actually be.
You're not in trouble. I just thought it was an interesting.
I wanted to hear what he had to say.
It was an interesting edit. Well, Sean, I believe the good book says, "If thou askest, thou shalt receive," and clip 4 is your reward for a life well lived.
And I'm thinking about them, and they are there together, and they have only each other. They're going to sell the house. They have all these possessions, some of which have recently been soaked, some of which they're not going to need because they were their mothers or their fathers. And I don't know where those things are going to go, but I know their mother's not going to take them with her. And I know that this is, again, possessions. These are things that were precious to them. There are things that meant a lot to them. But really, what this family's going to have together is each other.
Oh, that was deep.
Profound.
Nice. I like that. It started like you were. It sounded like you were about to get an amen or some kind of acknowledgement from the congregation at that point.
Very gracious congregation.
But we cut that off.
But you referenced Psalm 23 and you had them. You had them back. There were some amens and then
tough to go wrong in a church with the Lord as my shepherd. But on last Saturday was the third funeral I've attended.
Oh God!
Since I started running for city council, a dear friend of ours, Dave Clegg, died after a long battle with cancer. My friend Ted Metri's mother died, and that's where I ran into to the rock star at the funeral. And then Sarah Jo Biggs, who's the wife of Doug Hamill, great friend of ours, both Sarah and Doug. Doug died 5 or 6 years ago after finding out he had lung cancer. Great guy, one of the saltiest, but one of the earthiest guys you ever met in your life. He would always tell stories about when he was growing up on the east side around 8 Mile and Van Dyke, and they always involved. So me and my buddies are walking down the street, and some other guys came up to us, and then somebody said something to us, and we said something to them, and yada, 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 and somebody broke a bottle and tried to cut my throat. I'm like, oh, he's very matter of fact. I mean, this was the epitome of the tough kid. And he's one of the guys who taught me something that I think about all the time. He would always try and convince you to do stuff, like, hey, we're having a party, come over to the party, or we're doing this charitable thing, you should get involved in this. And he would go on and on and on about this stuff. And he was always inviting you to something to the point you're like, Doug, I don't have time to go to all this stuff. There's just too much going on. And then you'd go to one of these things and you'd see him and you'd say, Doug, I'm really glad I went to that thing. That was awesome. He'd be like, yeah, basically like, I tried telling you before, asshole. Now you know. Maybe you'll come next time. And he'd just go on with it. I mean, it was a very enlightening attitude, because basically what I took from Doug was there's all these great things going on. You should check them out. I'm inviting you to do these things. You should have these experiences. You should get involved. FOMO. But if you don't, that's on you, jerk.
You're preaching about FOMO.
Yeah. What's that? FOMO?
Yeah, fear of missing out.
Oh. No. He wasn't saying that. What he was saying is,
you're saying to accept the experiences and do them. You sound like a millennial.
No,
I'm with you. I'm agreeing with you.
No. I mean, what I'm saying is Doug's philosophy was, I have these amazing things going on and I'm going to invite you, but if you choose not to partake, that's your loss, pal.
Of course.
Yeah, which I thought was great. So we lost Doug, and then Sarah, who was caring for her father at the same time, he passed, and then she had cancer, and then she just died. And so when I was thinking about all these possessions we're losing, it got me thinking about how it's really the people. It's not the stuff, because these kids who are wonderful, Kurt and Addie played hockey for me when I started coaching. Doug was one of the assistant coaches, and yeah, they're going to get rid of all this stuff, but hopefully what they keep is that bond between themselves. So we got a little deep.
It sounds like my wife. She's been saying all this stuff recently. Like, who cares when you're dead? They just put it all in a dumpster. Like, oh my God, it's quite morbid. Why do we need to do this? Why does it go end up in a dumpster?
Well, there's some.
She's right.
There's some truth to that. But I do have a question.
Well, it's about being alive and using it while you're alive.
I do have a question. Are there more clips?
There are more clips, but
can I hear them?
At the risk of being drowned again with derision, I've
enjoyed them.
I have a number of journalism awards. Most of them are in a box somewhere, and a lot of them got soaked when the flood happened. But they're in a box because they don't really mean anything. And when I die, my kids, they're going to look at it and they're going to say, cool, and they're going to bang it in a trash can. You
don't know that.
Your greatest accomplishments aren't going to mean that much to your kids, because they should be pursuing their own greatest accomplishments. And the only reason why I'm so pissed off at the Pulitzer people about not putting Jim's name and my name on that Pulitzer Prize is because it is the one thing that my kids might keep of all the stuff that we have tucked away here. That's the one thing they might say, this is pretty cool, and it doesn't have our name on it.
And they'll hear in their heads, but it came with a pay cut.
Well, that's true too.
Just to give you a little optimism here, Mike, and I'm going to make this quick. At least I'll try to keep it from being El Ricky and
like the honeymoon.
Oh yeah. Okay, quick story. My father was a great swimmer. When he was 16 years old, he set the national record for the 50 free. Got a swimming scholarship, and for a 2-3 year period, they had all these medals and trophies. And when he died, they went to our stepmother for a while. Well, we eventually got them, and my brother has them, and a lot of them are framed. He didn't frame them. Somebody else had them framed, but he has them to this day. My dad's been gone since '93.
Wow. See?
And my guess is he will pass them on to his son or daughter. His daughter's a swimmer. And so I have a little faith that a couple of those things might live on.
I guess what I'm saying is I actually don't care. I mean, we got the awards, and that is the work.
Well, of course you care. You don't need to tell
mattered.
us just for being cool that you don't care. Of course you care.
You're a very sentimental person.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is these things, it's what got you the award that matters, not the award itself. And I will just tell.
Yeah, but your kids might like that.
Tell your brother to put them very high on the wall, because
I don't think he has them hung up. He has them in a box somewhere, and he might pull them out once in a while.
Unless we
didn't throw them away, is my point. Like you thought.
No. And I have my grandpa's World War II medal, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But you know what we lost in the flood?
Why won't anyone give me an award?
My Uncle Jim was a war hero. He was in Vietnam, was awarded either the Bronze or the Silver Star. He was in a helicopter that was shot down, and he pulled the pilot out of the wreckage and carried him on his back for quite some time. The pilot did not make it, but he was honored. He never talks about his experience in Vietnam. His uniform is still in a dry cleaner's bag at my grandparents' house. I don't know where it is now. And one of the things that I moved with me from place to place was his boots from Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
And they have his name tag in there, James Casterly. And he's had no interest in these. I don't think his kids have any interest in these. And when the flood hit, they got soaked. And I finally had to say, you know what? Nobody cares about these boots. I guess I'm going to have to throw them out. And those are the kind of things that you don't like to let go of.
Yeah, because it's a symbol of that story.
And I think that's why he doesn't want them.
Yeah.
Because the miles he walked in those boots, he probably would rather never think about again. But to satisfy Sean and to bring another lighter moment to the fold, let's hear clip number 5, which has been titled "The House of Huel."
And if you've seen me before today, it was probably on that small box next to Huel Perkins. And let me tell you, it's more intimidating being in the house of the Lord than being in the house of Huel. So I hope that everybody's as graceful as Huel has always been to me.
Meant to say
but
gracious.
I'm somebody who gets answers.
Wow, that joke hit.
But I'm somebody who gets answers.
Because we were talking about trying to figure out what happened with this flood. And once you have answers, you can work toward solutions.
Sean, you can go on YouTube and watch the whole 2.5 hour.
I think we'll post on our website. Why don't we do that
too? Yeah.
We'll do the link to the, or you can find it. You can find my whole portion of the service at ML-4 Detroit on Facebook and Twitter.
Or you could watch the real part, on there.
Yeah.
Okay. What?
Well,
how long were you supposed to speak? Like how long? How long were you? Did they say, "Hey, ML, you can talk for about this long," but how long did you go?
So we weren't talking politics, which is why this was sort of intimidating.
Yeah.
Because really, who am I to speak scripture among people who have been ordained, and as someone who, as a not Catholic enough to lapse, but a very enthusiastic churchgoer, I'm constantly looking at the people next to me to see when it's time to rise and kneel. And I've been going to church for 20 years. So they told me you have, can't be political, which I appreciate. You have 3 to 5 minutes. And we've been on the campaign trail and working so hard. I kind of had some notions of what I wanted to talk about, but it's sort of like this show where I have some talking points and then I kind of go from there. So as we were walking up to the church, my campaign manager says, "Can I see your remarks before you give them?" And I said, "Yeah." And I had a blank index card, but I knew what I wanted to say. So I jotted down a couple just guideposts. So I would hit the important things and make sure to acquit myself at least with some modicum of decency.
So how long did you end up speaking?
Yeah, I guess the long answer kind of tells you how bad it was getting. So I ended up going for
did someone there ask you a question and you went on for 20 minutes?
No, if they had, I'd still be there. So I ended up going for almost 9 minutes, and apparently my daughter and Vanessa were kind of wondering when I was going to finish, and I just kind of finished. But this was, in fact,
well, as long as you finish strong, right?
Big finish.
Okay. There we go.
But I'm also thinking about who made those memories. And those people are still with me. Those are my daughters. That's my wife. It's not those old girlfriends. They're gone. They got their own basements. But when I think about that,
we'll explain that in a minute.
I feel that I've been given something at the same time I've lost something, which is some of those memories are going to be gone. I won't have the chance to look at them. But the people who made those memories are still here. And they have risen to the occasion to help go through these things, to help sort these things out, to help support their mom and dad as we're trying to do this and then do this other thing that's bigger than us. So as I'm with you today, I come back to that message that I've always heard, but really hit me last Sunday and I carry with me, which is, the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. And I'm grateful for you and the opportunity to be here. And thank you, God, for letting me go first. Thank you, God.
Oh, full circle. Ended it with
Thank
this
you
joke.
very much.
And there's the elder to say, "Wrap it up, son." So earlier when I was talking about
that takes some. I think it takes some balls to get up and preach or speak at a church like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it preaching, but you know what?
Speak.
As you'll find with almost every church, the congregation is very gracious, even though I had trouble saying the word that day. And the good folks at Greater Burnett were so welcoming that it took the burden off of me, because it just felt like if you speak from the heart and try not to be too much like I am normally, which is a little bit of a wiseacre, you'll be okay. But that
hence the girlfriend reference.
Well, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I still am me. So maybe that was Sunday me. But, so when I was talking, part of my message to the congregation was, when our possessions were being hauled away by the bulk pickup guy, Teresa comes out and she starts crying. And it's because her sectional, the fancy couch was being put in the back of that. And I'm upset because I'm losing pictures and letters and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And some of the letters were letters from old girlfriends. And so I told the congregation, well, so, it wasn't all bad. So I had to work that back in. But this is the craziest thing. The guy driving the truck, doing the bulk pickup, started calling and said, "Hey, ML, hey, do you remember me?" And I said, I don't know. I do a lot of stories. I didn't really remember. He's wearing a hard hat. And
but you think you busted him at some point?
Well, no, because if I had that crane would have pinched my head off. And I said, you know what, dude, can you refresh my memory? And I don't know if I met him in person, but we spoke over the phone. He was one of 2 black guys who worked at a concrete casting factory where the coworkers were hanging a statue in effigy, perhaps to be smart asses. I don't know. It's not very funny, but it really made these guys uncomfortable, and they put up with it for a long time until Nelson Myers, maybe Norman Myers, went to a great attorney and brought a lawsuit. And so both of these guys were able to get some measure of justice. And I like to think the story we did at Fox 2 helped that. We confronted the owners of the concrete plant and said, "What the hell is this?" And they're like, "Oh, we didn't know it would bother him." It's like, what do you mean you didn't know it would bother anybody? And they were trying to claim how they didn't know this was going on. But my man, Mr. Myers, was way smarter than them. And he had conversations with them with his phone rolling. So he had audio. So it was a great story. So to see this guy who's picking up all this trash, it was kind of special in a way, because we're having this very powerful moment of loss. And then there's a really good guy who's saying, "Thanks for helping me out." And it kind of, helped lift the spirits a little bit.
And did you say?
I gave him a campaign t-shirt.
Wait, he got one? We didn't get one?
So it was navy. We have navy, and we have like this kind of optic green, like tennis ball green. His whole outfit was tennis ball green because, it's safety green. And I gave him his choice of t-shirts, and he took the safety green. I was like, "Dude, you got a thing with this green." I would have gone with the navy myself, but that's
nice criticizing his fashion choice.
So, well, it's just, this guy looked good no matter what he wore. He's a handsome man. So before we move on from Greater Burnett, I have got to let you hear what a real pastor sounds like. So if we could play Pastor Jason Mosley, the guest pastor who was there to honor Pastor Johnson. And this was, let me tell you, he has the full range of emotions. He can dial it up. He can dial it down.
Well, I'll say this much.
Kind of middle of the scale.
I'll say this much. When I was cutting this clip out, I did not have to boost his audio, but I really had to boost yours.
Real recognizes real. Did you hear what I said?
Yep.
I said real recognizes real. This colloquial idiom or expression was adopted by the hip hop culture, and it expresses the idea that is used to refer to the tendency or ability for real individuals to identify or connect with or otherwise respect other real individuals. Real not just in their speech. Y'all pray with me today. We're not real just in our speech, but also in their conduct. Real not just in how they portray themselves, thank you, but through the qualities that exhibit a real nature. Here it is. Real men can recognize a real woman, not just in the voluptuousness of her body, but by the content of her mind and her character. Real recognizes real. Real women can recognize a real man not just by his financial status and capabilities, but one who will not only make children, but one who will take care of the children that he made. Do I have any witnesses here? Somebody just shout, real recognizes real.
I think he wins.
That's the warm up. Yeah, no, I mean, what a powerful orator, and that mess. And I love the voluptuousness of her body. But what he said is one of the things that is so important is it ain't just about making the baby. It's about taking care of the baby. And some dirtbag sent me something on Twitter criticizing me for making fun or mocking or denigrating, whatever you want to say, the guy who paid his child support in pennies, because he's like, do you know what it's like to be ripped off and to be forced to do, and the state and all this crap about, oh, what a victim he is. Oh, what a poor guy. The state screwed him. Hey, listen, maybe the child support thing didn't go the right way. Maybe you are aggrieved. Maybe you got a case here. But if you do meet your obligation in a way that brings sorrow and anguish to the children, the lives you created, shame on you, sir.
Well, and it was the guy's last payment too.
Yeah,
so he had every right to go and try to fix that before then.
Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, so if you've never been,
that guy was a baby.
If you've never been to church in Detroit, don't be intimidated. Go. You will be welcomed. And I will tell you something, the rest of your day, you will be on a cloud. So I just want to thank, the good people at Greater Burnett Baptist Church. I stayed for the whole service. A lot of folks running for office don't do that. And I will be back.
I like how you threw that in there.
No, that's what people are telling us.
Oh, I know.
And in fact, Pastor Johnson got up, so he did get to talk a little bit, because it was, it's sort of like on Father's Day, you don't do a lot of work around the house. You let other people do it. So when you're the honoree, you can kind of absorb it. But I'm going to get the phrasing wrong, but he said something like, I just want to thank our Caucasian politician brother who's come and stayed for the whole service.
And did you stand up and say,
did anyone order a hero?
I raised my hand. I felt I'd imposed upon the good people.
Well, at least you didn't go out and preach like this guy.
I come in the name of Jesus by the power of the Holy Spirit. Biatch!
Yeah, no, that was not.
I don't know if that would fly there.
No, they're not going to fly a lot of places.
Hey, let's talk about money and making money and investing money. And you need to not be overreactive. That's not a good strategy. You want to call our friend Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Well 248-663-4748. He will provide rational financial advice. What should you do with your money now, 6 months from now, 6 years from now? Get a plan, get a strategy, get advice. Call Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748. He might have some advice for a lot of college athletes in the future.
Oh boy, I'll tell you what.
I think he might make them, make it.
Well, he might make it all about them, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
Yeah.
So the great debate is back, and it's a familiar subject.
Why is it back?
Why is it much? It's not really much of a debate either.
It's not back. Is it back? Why is it back? Just because you wanted to wax on?
Because you guys continue to be wrong.
Because you wanted to wax on about this?
Because he's still mad about a certain
Because we wanted the debate next week, will we?
Name, image, and likeness.
What?
Nil.
Are we going to have it next week?
What? No, we have it now.
No, but we're going to have it next week.
Have what next week?
The great debate, or the week after that, or week after that. So it's not back.
I think you
just want to ramble on about this. By the way, Mark, can I just say this real quickly?
Yes, please.
No, please. Just let me say something for once, or maybe twice. When I got the rundown of the show last night, I realized we were going to have a guest. I thought, we're going to have a nice chat. We'll talk about current events. We'll have fun. We'll do whatever. But then I realized we do have a guest, Mike's ego.
It's his
show. in video form, right? So it's Mike over here and Mike over there. Anyway,
I'm looking forward to some time off. Quiet reflection.
But the debate is back because you have staunchly been about not giving college athletes anything. You just feel that they are fairly compensated through their scholarship.
They are being given something. They're being given a scholarship. They're being given clothes. They're being given tutoring. They're being given amazing food, travel, experiences.
But they also had to just go in front of the Supreme Court to say, hey, they want to give us more stuff for educational purposes, and the NCAA fought that.
As they should.
Like graduate studies or computers so that's where you draw the line?
I am for giving students and student athletes everything they need to succeed on the field and in the classroom. I do not feel that signing a sponsorship deal with Yoke Gaming is what they need to succeed. Now, I will say, I read something from
needs and wants are two totally different things.
I read something by the president of Notre Dame that's the only exception I'll make to this compensating athletes, when he pointed out, I thought quite cleverly, that the reason why Notre Dame supports name and image likeness is because it now allows student athletes to have the same rights as other students. In other words, if you are a student who is an influencer or has a big following and can monetize that, you have more rights than a student athlete. And I thought it was terrible when that kicker from, I think, Colorado, didn't he have to give up his scholarship because he had a big following on YouTube because he was a water skier or a ski jumper?
I think you're thinking of
like
Jeremy Bloom, who was a wide receiver and then an Olympian also for moguls, and he could make money as an Olympian. The Olympics got rid of the amateur thing a long time ago.
Skiing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I thought that was wrong, but when I look at this thing, anybody who knows anything about student athletes will tell you it is a tremendous, and Sean's not chiming in because you don't know nothing about no student athletes. But
what the fuck are we talking about?
It's a tremendous drain on your time. And so now,
what are we arguing about?
Students should not, this name and image likeness thing is ridiculous.
Why?
Wait a second. You're contradicting yourself. You just said you agreed with Notre Dame's president.
I agree with the exception, but the reason why
that's not the exception. That is name, image, and likeness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's,
you can earn off your
and one of those reasons might be because an alumnus of Notre Dame is the creator and founder of Yoke Gaming, the one you just mentioned.
Oh yeah. Well, this is why
I don't know if he was an athlete either. By the way,
I'm confused. What do you disagree?
He's mad about how the NIL has started. July 1st for most.
But the school's
states.
the NCAA's not compensating them. The school's not compensating them. No. So what are you?
So what's the problem?
About?
Well, so the argument that they should be able to make a lot of money because they're not compensated. If you're a scholarship athlete, even if you're not a scholarship athlete, the amenities available to you are compensation. But this is my concern with kids trying to make money by being college athletes. These two jokers at Michigan, Blake Corum and Mike Sanristil, they've got a contract where they're going to be playing video games with other people for money. Like,
so what?
You have time to play video games?
Of course they play video games.
For money, this is going to be a big distraction. This is going to stop
already
kids.
play video games.
All they do, they don't watch movies.
What are you arguing for? That we should still have the IBM Selectric instead of a Dell?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
I am saying that by trying to turn being a student athlete into a profit center, you are going to make these kids not the athlete they can be and not the student they can be because they're going to be rushing to try and cash in on it.
You just said yourself other students can do that, so they're not going to be the student they can be if they are.
My point is,
by the way, 10,000 players nationwide have signed up with Yoke Gaming, so it's not just the two from Michigan. I mean,
so that means 10,000. That means 10,000 kids
are going to get paid for what they were already doing.
Going to be distracted. Now,
do you have any idea?
Did you hear what Sean just said?
Come on, man. Go home and ask your kids a real question about what they did in their free time. They might have been gamers, but I guarantee you they were around gamers. They're partied with them.
Playing games with their friends.
So why not get paid for it?
This again, because this is not the student experience. This is working. This is having a job, and it's a job that distracts you from being a student, from being an athlete, from spending time with your friends. This is another way that we are taking these kids out of the student experience, that they are no longer college athletes. They are just workers. And my point about the guy from Notre Dame is that's the only defense that resonates with me is other students can do it. So we should let these kids do it.
What do you mean that's the only defense? That's
the
defense. That is the defense.
For name, image, and likeness.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
No,
exactly.
your whole point when we've discussed this before is these kids are being taken care of. They're not getting any compensation. They're getting cheated. They are not
I've
being
never
cheated.
argued that they should be paid. It's too complicated.
No, it's not.
Sport to sport.
That's argued they should be paid.
Okay, wait. Time out. That's a
You're
different.
the dollar bill guy.
That's a different subject. That's and that would be the NCAA or the schools allowing
paying
them to pay them. Name, image, and likeness is outside sources. right?
It's just earning off your ability to earn.
That's Johnny Football signing autographs and being a car dealership sponsor.
Jordan Bohannon did a fireworks appearance over the weekend.
That's like saying you shouldn't be able to get Luke Nowacki or
What?
Seriously.
Actually, the marketplace has decided we won't be compensated for this program.
So you think the negative effect is that these athletes then will be chasing the almighty dollar through name, image, and likeness, or being influenced? Because a lot of the money has gone to people, influencers, right? On Instagram.
Exactly.
Or gamers, whatever. So you feel like the detriment is going to be that they're just going to try and do that and not be an athlete?
I'm saying that this is another distraction when they already, to be a full-time student and to be a varsity athlete.
But Sean just told you they're already doing this.
Right, with their friends.
Okay, let me give you another example.
The University of Nebraska, right?
Yes.
First 100 athletes there that are willing to take so there's a sandwich. It's a little sandwich in Nebraska. It's beloved. It's called the Runza.
The Runza, yeah.
Right? It's a lot like a pasty.
I understand it gives you the Runza.
It's like a pasty or a pasty or whatever. Pasty, right?
Pasty, thanks there.
Yeah, it's beef and cabbage and whatever.
We know
there's
the
a chain that's developed in Nebraska, right? So it's become a fast food.
Wait. Are they a sponsor? Don't say their
also
name.
called Runza, right?
Just said don't say their name.
So basically, the first 100.
So they said, the first 100 athletes, not football players, right, Mark? Not basketball players. Athletes that are willing to tweet out their app, the Runza app. That's all they have to do is tweet it out or put it on Instagram or whatever.
I don't know. That's 15 seconds they could be spending.
Exactly.
Studying.
And the next 100 are going to have to go stand in front of the Runza for 6 hours and welcome people and wear a stupid
If they
paper
want
hat.
to, then that's their choice.
Let me give you another example. Olivia Dunn. I don't know if you know who Olivia Dunn is, but there's a lot of talk about she's going to be the first $1 million athlete through the NIL.
And Master P. So
Master P too, yes.
It's $1 million plus, yeah.
But Olivia, I bring her up because she is a gymnast at LSU. She is beautiful, and she has a massive following on Instagram.
And relative to NCAA gymnastics, she is. I don't even want to say this. It's not. She's not a top.
She's not
tier.
all American.
No, she's not.
No,
she's not
just an athlete.
Exactly.
So if she didn't do the gymnastics, she could have cashed in a long time ago. She does it because she loves it, right? So why would you think that now that because she can cash in, she would suffer her athleticism or her studies would suffer?
I don't have a problem with somebody making money from their own enterprise. I don't like that these companies are running to these kids and basically trying to pimp them out for their brand.
What do you think we are doing right this very second?
But that happens all the time on Instagram.
That's what we're doing.
But just because they play
Who are we pimping out?
for a university,
All the sponsors. It's not that we're pimping them out, but
we're not student athletes. This is a job.
What's the difference?
This is what we do. We are adults who have a job. This is our job.
If you can
so
vote
let me go back.
and fight in a war and drink alcohol, a lot of them, then you're an adult, right? By the law, what you're saying they're not adults.
So Olivia Dunn, by the way, going back
saying
to that
their job is
example,
to be a student and an athlete.
But by that, Olivia Dunn should have just stopped being an athlete at LSU and cashed in on her Instagram influencer.
No, I think she built that following herself. Whereas these guys, you've got Yoke Gaming and these other and Runza and you name it and Joe Bag of Donuts.
Did your kids?
Smoke
Did your
shop
kids?
And
so what?
Work?
Yes, my kids go to school and they work.
Why they did the same time? They both at the same time, right?
As a part-time job and usually during breaks, not while they're in class. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Well, I mean, not literally in class, but
their job.
During
thank
the semester,
you for making my
each
point.
semester,
Their job is to be a student.
But did they also work during the fall and winter semesters?
They have worked while they were a student.
Yes, exactly. So why can't student athletes?
Thank God they weren't athletes then.
Because
My
when
kids
they work at a place that they choose to earn money that they need. These kids who are student athletes get that support, and they're not sitting there playing games with some goober from some other part of town.
So you're making
who
a
paid
moral
Yoke
judgment
Gaming.
on games. You're making a moral judgment on video games.
I'm not making more. I'm saying.
What?
Is it okay if they do Cameo? I mean, that is the basic of image and likeness, where they record a message and send it out to you for $50.
Is it okay if the next Cade Cunningham signs with Adidas for $1 million?
I think he's no longer a student athlete. So,
I said that's why I said
Why
the
not?
next.
If he's going to college,
that's why I said the next Cade Cunningham.
You know what? What you guys miss in this discussion every single time.
Yeah.
No, what you miss every single time is to be a student and to be an athlete is a special opportunity. It
doesn't go away.
Oh,
It does. So what, I don't want to pick on these two guys from Michigan.
Okay, well, no, let's go.
Mention them. But these guys are never going to start. They're never going to start because they're not starters now.
Blake Corum, what are you talking about?
They play for Michigan, so they're not going to start on a good team. But they are not going to reach their full potential because instead of doing all they need to do to succeed in the classroom and on the field, they're going to be sniffing around some video game, playing some dude.
How do you know?
They don't for money
Well,
because they're already doing it.
How do you
they
know?
signed up for it.
Well, then I guess they should get rid of.
So he's saying he knows their grades, what their family life's like, what their.
Sean, it really sounds like he wants the NCAA to get rid of the amount of hours you're allowed to train, too. He sounds like they should be training all the time.
Isn't that something?
No, the limit on training is a recognition that there are a lot of demands on an athlete, including school.
So they're not allowed to have any free time?
So out of 100.
Well, now they're not going to have free time. They're going to be playing yoke games with some
They were doing
some
it
couch
anyway.
potato with their friends.
So what? What's
Time
the
with your
difference?
friends is one of the best parts of college.
Maybe they'll make new friends who are paying them money to play with them.
Some jagoff who's
Let me go back to the
gave
cameo.
Yoke Sports $20 to play.
So what?
Play, Grand Theft Auto against.
No, let's just go ahead.
Third string punter.
Okay, Jesus, let's just go ahead and you can break this down. There are 112 hours a week. That if you sleep 8 hours a day, you got 112 hours a week. Break it down for them. How much should they spend in the classroom? They spend 12 hours a week in the class, maybe 15. So that's about 100 hours a week. How much should they study? How much should they practice? And how much is free?
That should be determined by each individual.
Oh, so now,
Just like the amount of money they can make.
So, but your argument is that you want to determine for them how they should spend that time. Those roughly 100 hours a week.
No,
you want to determine that.
I'm saying I would prefer that they not have these distractions, that they not have these enticements, these inducements to not enjoy their college experience.
What does that mean? Get drunk?
Maybe they are enjoying.
That's what they like doing.
Play
Go ahead.
volleyball in front of a frat house? What the fuck does that mean?
So they're allowed to go, if that's what they like doing, they're allowed to go do that, but not play video games for money?
Beer pong?
Are they allowed to do? Let me go back to Cameo. Are they allowed to do Cameo?
How much time a week are they spending? I mean,
It depends how many orders they get.
To me, I don't like the idea of compensating these kids beyond the very handsome
They're
compensation.
not. You're not compensating the kids. You keep using that word. They're going out and making money.
Yoke,
which we let high schoolers do.
Yoke and Cameo are paid by individuals. You don't have to buy anything, and if they
not compensating, they're earning their money.
I mean, they should be compensated.
If it wasn't for
Yoke
argument. And Runza and Fred's Used Tire Shop, whatever you want, whoever's out there pimping out these kids, they would not be doing these things that diminish. I just don't, I don't know what you guys did in college. Did you?
I worked. Once I got my shit together, I worked.
Yeah.
And
I played
you hung
video
out with
games.
with your friends. But you also didn't have, other than Mark, who was athletic, as we learned from our intro, and Sean. I've seen Sean on the basketball court. He has some skills, not actually skills, but he has some skills.
I don't. But
it's been a long time, maybe 45 years.
If you want to treat them,
but
if you want to
you
be
guys
student
did not
athletes-
have this major commitment that you made. You did not have this incredible chunk of time
that has time limits.
They're going to make money off their name, image, and likeness. That is not a 40-hour-a-week job.
They are going to chase this money.
Well,
and
of
if
course
you
they
don't
are, but it's still not going to be 40 hours a week.
It could be.
But
if you're letting me play video games and I get, I don't know, $100 an hour, I may play as many hours as I possibly can.
Well, good for them then.
I just think that this is a mistake. I just think this further professionalizes and takes our sacred college sports away from
sacred,
young
my
people.
butt. It's $1 billion business.
Yeah.
And everybody but the central players were getting the money.
Period.
And that is just wrong. It's wrong.
Well, you're trying to fix the wrong part of it. Take the money out of the sports. That's what you do. You don't put more money into it. This shouldn't be everybody. This should not be a cash grab.
You're sitting there making comments about Michigan football and their team and what. Why do you know that? Because you see them on TV or you've seen them
I
in
don't
person.
watch them. I read the free press.
Or you read about them.
So I may not actually know anything about them.
Seen them in East Lansing at Spartan Stadium. You've seen them up close.
So do you think
saw them get clotheslined in
because
Spartan
it's entertainment to you,
think,
so you can make jokes.
Do you think the universities should just televise their games for free,
or not televise them at all? How about that?
I think what the university should do is try and make money off of the program to support the school, not to pay coaches $10 million salaries.
But they have to spend the money to maintain their nonprofit.
Well, it's true though. No, it's not true. It's not true. If you have to maintain your nonprofit status and you have too much money, here's what you do. You expand the scope of what your nonprofit does. So now you're not running a nonprofit athletic department. You run a nonprofit athletic department that provides scholarships for inner city kids. Nonprofits never have problems finding good uses for their money.
Yeah, so the money is going to, like you said, $10 million coaches, or better
and
yet,
I'm against that.
Within an athletic department, tons of associate athletic directors that make six figures.
Well, you guys look at a corrupt system and say, give everybody money. I look at a corrupt system and I say, take the money out.
How are you going to do that unless you turn it into basically club league, right? If we remove sports on that level and turn it into club league, so you have no fans, maybe a few students could come and watch if your buddies are the people that are out there playing. It's not televised. There are no reporters writing about it, which would be fine. You could make an argument for that. All of Europe works that way. You know how if you're 17 or 18 and you're great at soccer, you go to a club owned by a big club.
Actually, when you're 8,
it's exploitative at this point. It really is. And they're trying to fix that a little bit.
But that's a professional.
We're the only country in the world that associates this level of athletics with university studies.
That is a professional.
And it's ridiculous. But since that's our system, they're trying to make it a little bit more fair by letting the players who are out there who make all this money for all these people have a little bit of piece of the pie. That's it.
They're fixing the wrong problem.
There's no, if you want to fix it, man, get rid of it. Tear down Spartan Stadium and put some other something there for students. Put another library there.
Really good players in the revenue sports will just go pro right out of high school.
Fine. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Go ahead. I don't go to Spartan Stadium because I want to see influencers. I go there because I want to have this connection with my school. That's why I don't go.
Why do you care that they win?
How does this get rid of that? If anything,
I want to enjoy success with my fellow Spartans.
Well, then you know what you should do? You should go on Yoke Gaming and maybe play some games with these kids. That'll really bond the connection with you and the university and the athletes.
So you want that experience of that big time and all that talent. You just don't want anybody to make any money who's actually doing it and entertaining you right before your eyes as you stand there in your blue and green and white scarf.
If I went to Bug Tussle A&T and there were 500 people in the stands, I would go there because I was with my fellow Spartans.
But that doesn't disappear.
Bug Tussulians.
Why do you think that disappears because of this? Why does that not still exist?
Because as I've said before, what's going to end up happening is the people who can make the most money are the stars. And so the stars are going to say, build this game around me. If I don't get my touches,
that hadn't happened so far.
Reps,
already do. They already do.
I don't like that part of it. I don't like Johnny Football. I don't like these guys who go out there and say me, 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 and are doing all this bullshit. To me, sports are about a team. To me, sports are about being a part of something that's bigger than you, where you find a way to contribute and you don't go into it and say, you all have to make me great. You go into it and you say, what can I do for us to succeed together? So that the lineman and the starting quarterback both feel like they're stakeholders in this enterprise, not so that the lineman says, well, I just had my ACL torn, was throwing a block for this guy because he always wants to run because he knows if he gets on the highlight reel, he sells 500 more Yoke memberships.
That doesn't happen in the NFL.
NFL is a professional league.
So is college.
It's completely different. College is not a professional league. It's an amateur league where many of the participants are very well compensated already. And you know why my kids work when they go to school? Because they need money for stuff. If they were on full scholarships, I wouldn't be giving them shit.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek? Or we're turning into cool guys?
In this moment of quiet reflection, it just occurred to me that Mark and Sean are right, so we will be sponsoring our own athlete.
I think we should.
More on that in a future episode.
Wow, that was an easy one to win.
We are currently
flabbergasted.
We are currently negotiating with a.
But it can't be anything that would take this individual away from their athletic pursuits, right? You have very high standards.
I have succumbed to the will of the body, and since it is now the law of the land, we will exist within the construct that surrounds us. So more on that later.
I hope this individual doesn't make it all about themselves.
I thought we did the Luke read already.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Where are we at?
sweetheart.
What are we doing? What's going on?
Well, Hall Financial, he'll make it all about you, sourpusses. He is a man who loves to save you money. That's why he has this little business. They call it Hall Financial. And he, like Luke Nowacki, is one of the only sponsors of the entire Red Shovel Network. Although I understand that they may be withdrawing their support of the Charlotte and Dad podcast because the dad is so wrongheaded on compensating athletes. But David Hall, he doesn't get into that stuff. All he really is into is saving you money. Rates are still very low. Don't count on that forever. If you want to find out how to refi, it'll save you money every month until your loan is paid off, and it'll save you money right away because you get to skip a couple payments as the paperwork goes through the process. Just click on the link on our website to contact Hall Financial, or give my man Dan Morrison a call at 248-308-5000. That's 248-308-5000. If Dan's busy, maybe you can ask for James Bentley. He was an outstanding soccer player. He never...
Lacrosse.
What?
He played lacrosse at Oakland U.
I thought he was very good. No, I'm talking about a De La Salle.
Oh, there? Yeah, I don't know what he did there.
He's a very good...
He wasn't that good.
Okay. Anyways,
he's really good at mortgages, though.
He's very good. Yeah. He will not yoke you with a bad mortgage. So give him a call and let him know that ML sent you. NMLS 146-7435. So we are negotiating with an athlete. I'll let you know how that goes. We look forward to closing that deal. If we're not able to do that, we may throw the field open to people who have athletes who they think
I'll sponsor anybody.
Would be great brand ambassadors for ML Soul of Detroit. But now to our geek. And he is a great athlete, although it looks like he may be about 6 months pregnant. And that would be peevish Phil Mickelson, who was the leader in the clubhouse for Geek of the Week. But listener Nancy sorts out his hash quite nicely a little later in the show when she leads off our listener comment segment. So stick around to hear more about Phil Mickelson, whose feelings were hurt by a widow reporter. Oh, my goodness.
What a baby.
So we needed a geek. So I started thinking about the Ukrainian army. Not that I want to take on an entire army, but they're pretty geeky. They forced a platoon, or maybe it was a brigade. I'm not really good with those kind of things, of female soldiers to march in full uniform and high heels. What the hell's that all about?
It must be their culture.
Kind of creepy.
Don't shame their culture.
The Ukrainian people are fine people. But our winner is the World Anti-Doping Agency for essentially banning Sha'Carri Richardson, perhaps the most electric Olympic athlete to compete in Japan this year. They said that she cannot compete in the 100-meter dash because, get this, she smoked some definitely not performance-enhancing weed.
Yeah. To cope with the passing of her mom? Is that what she said?
Yeah. I mean...
Who she found out from a reporter.
Was it the same one who wrote about Phil Mickelson?
In an interview.
Oh, really?
That her mom had died, or that she was banned?
That her mom had died.
Jeez.
Oh, wow. Well, that's unfortunate. But I mean, so I'm against doping. I'm against performance-enhancing drugs and all this stuff. But how can you possibly consider ganja something that's going to shave your... I mean...
It's ludicrous.
And there's apparently no appeal. But she's going to get to compete in another event.
Would it have been
relay because of the timing of the...
Yeah. So, I mean...
How the 30-day suspension falls.
Which makes it even dumber.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
And I guess it would have been okay for her to cope by drinking or recover from injuries with pain medication, but,
Yeah. So the World Anti-Doping Agency, who somehow seems to miss all of these Eastern Bloc athletes who were turning into men before our very eyes because of all the hormones they were taking and all the
80s
Soviets
reference.
and all this other crap. I was actually thinking of my prom dates. But this is, so they miss all that.
The wall's down, by the way.
I was in Europe when the wall came down.
Oh, great. Here comes an hour.
But Sha'Carri Richardson should be able to compete in every event she qualifies for.
Have you seen her run, by the way?
Amen.
One of you?
Yes.
No,
fast as hell.
Oh,
I've just
the
seen
acceleration
pictures of her.
halfway through is just.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a guy on Saturday when I was canvassing, and he told me the most mind-blowing statistic of all times about her. She's 5'1".
Oh, really?
I knew she was little. You can tell when they show the lineup.
I mean, that's amazing.
She's
for a
really
sprinter.
5'1".
That's what this guy says.
What if she ran for the Ukraine?
Why would he lie to me? I'm a politician.
What if she ran for the Ukraine and wore high heels? A little taller.
She'd probably be an 11.
It's interesting because
second mark and couldn't
from
qualify.
what little bit I've seen her run, she starts out of the block slow, and then 20 yards, 25 yards in, just
that's incredible.
Catapults.
Yeah, too bad for that.
It's just electric.
Yeah, no, and from and again, I'm not a big track and field guy, but from everything I've read about her, she's got this effervescent personality. She's very down to earth. She really connects with people. She's made a lot of money off her name, image, likeness.
Think how fat? Yeah, exactly.
The way she collapsed in her grandma's arms after she won the 100 in the trials, she went up in the stands. Was just
imagine how fast she'd
if
be.
If you can't enjoy it or appreciate that moment,
yeah,
it just started sobbing in her.
She's probably high, right?
Yeah, right. No, it was just incredible.
Stay off the weed.
So World Anti-Doping Agency, for all the very, in fact, it's so clear that you're our Geek of the Week that every one of us agree. How often does that happen?
5'1".
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
Stay off the weed.
With all this talk of flood and pestilence and other signs of the apocalypse, it felt like the show's been getting a little heavy lately. So rather than play more great new wave music, Sean said, make new wave music American again.
I did?
MAGA.
Yeah, more or less. I am going to defy Sean.
Thanks for putting words in my mouth.
And take us to Birmingham, but not the Birmingham down the street, to Birmingham, England.
Of course you are.
For the Wombats to lighten things up a little bit with their biggest hit, Let's Dance to Joy Division.
I'm back in Liverpool and everything seems the same, but I worked something out last night that changed this little boy's brain. A small piece of advice that took 22 years in the making. I will break it for you now. Please learn from my mistakes. Please learn from my mistakes. Let's dance to Joy Division and celebrate the irony. Everything is going wrong, but we're so happy. Let's dance to Joy Division and raise our glass to the ceiling, 'cause this could all go so wrong, but we're so happy, and we're so happy. So if you're ever feeling down, grab your purse and take a taxi to the darker side of town. That's where we'll be, and we will wait for you and lead you through the dance floor up to the DJ booth. You know what to ask for, you know what to ask for. You ask for Joy Division and celebrate the irony. Everything is going wrong, but we're so happy. Let's dance to Joy Division and raise our glass to the ceiling, 'cause this could all go so wrong, but we're so happy. Yeah, we're so happy. Let the love tear us apart. I found the cure for a broken heart. Let tear us apart. Let the love tear us apart. I found the cure for a broken heart. Let tear us apart. So let the love tear us apart. I found the cure for a broken heart. Let tear us apart. So let the love tear us apart. I found the cure for a broken heart. Let tear us apart. Let tear us apart. Let tear us apart. Let's dance to
Sounds just like Joy Division.
Yeah, it's so the origin of this song was these young men were at I think a nightclub in Birmingham, and they thought it was ironic that all these people were rushing to the dance floor to have these very intimate and enthusiastic dancing sessions to one of the bleakest songs in new wave. So they came up with Let's Dance to Joy Division. You may know them for their more recent output, Lemon to a Knife Fight, which is actually not a bad song, but it may be one of the stupidest song titles of all time. But when I listened to them, the first time I heard this song, I thought, it sounds like Scouting for Girls, who does the song I Want to Be James Bond, which is a great song. But no, it's just
it's a cool song. I like that.
It's just the Wombats. So so we'll get back to the new wave next week, but we thought we'd lighten things
Sean,
up.
did you like it?
Yeah, it was fine.
Bring a
Yeah, it was fine.
lemon to a knife. We have to bring a knife.
The enthusiasm.
Bring a knife to a podcast. So we always love hearing
For
from
yourself or for someone else?
I may commit seppuku. I'll just need the ritual prayer mat along with that.
That's cultural appropriation.
Probably use some yoga. Speaking of mats.
Actually, I could use some yoga. I haven't been able to exercise properly with this damn campaign. So anyway, the whole idea of Room 7609 is you send us a great new wave band that folks may have missed, or you send us a great tune by a great new wave band, and folks may have missed that tune. And we play it, we talk about it. Sean craps on it, and then I play an American band. He says, "Why don't you play anybody from Eritrea?" Then I think we found a band from Chechnya one time. He's like, "Why can't you play a band from somewhere?" It doesn't matter.
I like some of the music. I don't.
The only people who win are you.
It's just a little exercise for you.
So we got lots of great merch. If you want to buy it, you can get it at drewandmikestore.com. We appreciate if you donate. If you donate like Kelly did, we take that money. It's that simple.
Oh,
it's
I like that. That sounds good.
Very simple transaction.
Yeah, but you've been matching it.
Well, so we did have a Geek of the Week with this joker. I'm going to be nice here, who made his final child support payment in pennies, and then the family took the money and they donated it to a shelter in their town, which I thought was just the greatest way to make something to make some lemon out of a knife fight, I guess. And so I said all the money that came in June in donations to the show, we would donate to Crossroads in Detroit, which helps needy families in Detroit. They have 2 locations. You can find a link to their website on our website if you care to give directly. So since we made that offer, we received $96.90 in donations, which we will be sending to Crossroads, and I will be matching that for a grand total of $193.80 from your friends here at the Soul of Detroit to Crossroads. It's not King's Ransom, but we know that they'll do something good with it. So thank you for helping us do some good. And now that we've done some good, we could use some money. So just give us the damn money. We could use some more sponsors. And one way we keep the sponsors we have is if you let them know that you heard about them from listening to the show. We'd appreciate if you'd subscribe, share the show, rate the show, and of course, love the show. And one of my favorite parts of the show is when we hear from you, like Nancy, who writes of Phil Mickelson, "You hearing he just exploited the Detroit News A1 story because he had zero intention of ever coming back? He's only in Detroit this time because he's gunning to get picked for the Ryder Cup. Plus, presumably appearance fees from his sponsors after winning the major."
No, he acts like he gets nothing out of it.
He was paid to come.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he picked this little story and blew it out of proportion, scapegoating the mean local press. If you're wondering what happened, Rob Snell, a great reporter at the Detroit News, reported that that Phil was ripped off by a bookmaker from Grosse Pointe like 20 years ago. People didn't really know this story. It was a great little nugget that Rob found, told a great yarn. Phil did nothing wrong. If anything, he was the victim here.
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand. It didn't make him sound that bad.
Yeah, I mean,
we all know he's a gambler.
I mean,
I think it was because the bookie was tied with Jack.
So what?
Right? It was mobbed up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just because he got beat out of $500,000 and didn't have the cherries to go break that guy's legs. So sorry, Phil.
Oh, and you would? I mean,
for $500,000, I'd break your leg for $50.
A mob for the mob?
I don't wager, so it's all theoretical. Anyway, Nancy says it's always been his MO, manipulating press, playing the victim. It's shtick. It's fake. He doesn't give a damn about his gambling story.
Nope.
California Country Club born and raised Phil Nicholson doesn't give a damn about Detroit.
Amen.
Wow, Nancy, bringing it.
We don't want him back.
Trying to buzz me mellow, but Nancy got me all hyped up. Again, we love when you rate us. We have almost 600 ratings. Brett Madcap Peel gave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, noting, "Thanks for getting Sean on the podcast prior to the most important match in DCFC's history. The content was gold, and Mark's questions for Sean were very insightful. By the way, DCFC did win that championship. Sean Windsor was there. You can read his take on all that at freep.com. Sir Lai also spotted us 5 stars under a review headlined, "Very informative and entertaining." He went on to say, "I listen every week." It's that simple, folks. We ask no more than that. Looking back at our fundraiser, the ML for Detroit fundraiser at the Traffic Jam last week, we had a great turnout, and Shasta Fox rocked the house. Shasta Fox is fronted by Max Prokop, who also plays bass for the Smiths United, and he composed this little ditty, our 100th episode commissioned music bed, Buzz Me Mellow. If you're hearing this show on July 6th, tomorrow, July 7th, I will be at Commemoration in Park, talking a little bit about politics, answering every question that comes my way, and taking your suggestions for how we can make Detroit better together. To find out where I'm up to, what I'm up to, where I'm going to be next, follow ML for Detroit on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'd appreciate if you'd subscribe. And you know what? If you want to volunteer, get involved in the campaign, it's a lot of fun. Or maybe you just want to send me some dough. Maybe you want to support.
Get one of those T-shirts, man.
Well, yeah, we could probably hook you up with some threads. You can do all that at ML4Detroit.com.
You're a busy man.
A lot going on. Sean's been busy too, man. I see a lot of things being written. Going to soccer games, getting milk duds,
golf tournament. Wrote about name, image, and likeness. No, I've been busy lately.
A lot of good things to talk about. That's why.
And what
Tigers?
Pray tell, were you doing whilst busy?
Tigers.
Sir?
It's about time to get back to the Tigers too, because they're percolating a little bit.
Oh, I got it. Is there some sort of sports writer curse in Detroit? Because about 2 months ago, I read all kinds of stuff savaging Al Avila for being a terrible general manager. Now the Tigers are starting to win, and I saw a headline the other day, no joke, it said, "Young Tigers fueling the resurgence." It's like, maybe you guys should have beat the crap out of Avila years ago so we could have a decent ball club here.
What do you mean? There are a lot of good young players.
No, I know, but there were some sports writers in this town who, and you know, listen, I don't follow the Tigers close enough to know whether it's merited or not, but they were just savaging the general manager for saying he can't recruit talent, he can't find people. This team is losing because, you know, of the picks he's made and the decisions he's made. And now they're starting to light it up. They're within spitting distance of 500, and people are saying it's the young talent that's fueling this research. I'm like, which is it?
I think a lot of people feel it's in spite of a lot of the things that Avila has done.
But who brought these guys in?
He did.
I mean, come on.
No, he deserves a little bit of credit for bringing Hinch in too, who's giving the team a jolt.
The Tigers,
the manager.
The Tigers, to me, really shows how much Tigers right now, how much sports is really about expectations, because people are excited about them, and they're just still not that good, but they were expected to be terrible.
They had back-to-back winning months for the first time in 5 years, which is kind of crazy.
They're playing entertaining baseball.
They are,
too.
and they get after. They get good young pitching.
Sure.
So Tigers a little bit. The draft is coming up. The Pistons, of course, had the number 1 pick in the draft the first time in 50 some years, right?
Yes.
Since 1970 or 71. Yeah, since Bob Lanier. So that and some other stuff that we'll be writing about. So there you go, Mike.
I met Bob Lanier. He's big.
Yeah. Okay, Mike, it's your turn to take us out.
No, wait a minute.
Oh, what? Huh? What?
I told you, you got to owe me $50 if you want me to take you out. Do you think they should draft this hot shit guy from
Cade Cunningham?
Yeah, from Oklahoma
I
State?
think so. I'm going to write about this week, though, and how often the number one player in the draft each year does not end up being the best player.
Okay, tease it. Don't tell us the whole thing you're going to write.
I'm going to argue with you.
Just tease it.
Well, you can't really argue with facts,
Usually the failures in that position are at center and power forward. For the most part, outside of Markel's fold, most guards that are drafted 1 overall are great. Most.
But they're not always the best player in that class. So that's the thing, you know. I don't know. Well, I'm going to write about it. And Mark can argue about it.
What are you trying to be Carlos over there to shit on the?
No, I just like dealing with reality.
So subscribe to the Free Press and get Sean's take on it. He may reconsider. Mark may make him see the light.
Plug the fellow shows that all not topless, but sit atop of us in the pecking order, and are much better shows. Plug them.
It's called The Cowboy. So Sean's
what,
going,
Mark?
please.
I know what he was trying to say.
Red Shovel,
straddling,
sitting on top.
Kind? Yeah,
Brand
could have gone reverse. I don't know.
Red Shovel Network plug. It says here on the rundown that Sean's referring to. By the way, next week Sean will be back. And in the meantime, if you want some quality listening, we have Charlie LaDuff's No BS News Hour, and of course the Drew and Mike podcast. So thank you for listening. Thank you for indulging us. Thank you for sending us donations, following us, subscribing to us, all that other good stuff, buying swag. And Cyrus, thank you for taking us out.
Can you dig that? Can you dig it?